Have you ever felt the weight of injustice in a story so young it shook every certainty you held? Imagine seeing the world through a child's eyes, watching the red clay dust of your small southern town settle after a blow that reveals the ugliness beneath the surface. Welcome to Maycomb, Alabama, the setting of To Kill a Mockingbird. Through narrator Scout Finch's 6-year-old voice, we experience mercy, fear, bravery, and heartbreak. Harper Lee's novel does something rare. It takes us behind the view of innocence and lets us feel how fragile truth can be. For the next 15 minutes, let's walk in Scout's shoes. We'll journey chapter by chapter, live the trial, meet Boo Radley, sit in that courtroom, and learn one unforgettable lesson from Atticus. You never really understand a person until you climb into his skin and walk around in it. Ready? Let's begin. Welcome to Maycomb, Alabama, a slow, dusty town where time seems to have stopped. It's the 1930s. The Great Depression has left its mark. Money is tight. People cling to traditions. And kids, well, they fill in the blanks of life with imagination. Our narrator, Jean-Louise Finch, better known as Scout, is just 6 years old. She's a curious, feisty girl with a strong sense of fairness and a tomboyish charm. Her brother Jem, 4 years older, often takes the lead in their adventures. And then there's Dill, a little boy visiting from Mississippi every summer, full of wild stories and wild ideas. Their favorite pastime? Trying to make sense of the greatest mystery on their street, Boo Radley. Arthur Boo Radley never leaves his house, not ever. The children know the stories. He once stabbed his father with scissors. He eats raw squirrels. He has yellow teeth and a jagged scar, or so they've heard. In truth, none of them have ever seen him. But isn't that what makes a mystery magical? The Radley house becomes their world's edge, a boundary between childhood myth and adult reality. They dare each other to touch the house. They invent elaborate games where Boo is a shadowy villain. But what the kids don't realize yet is this. Every tale they spin is about them, not Boo. It's about how children make sense of the things they fear. Alongside these games, we meet Calpurnia, the Finch family's black housekeeper. Cal isn't just a cook. She's a mother figure, a disciplinarian, a guardian. When Scout is rude to a house guest, Calpurnia doesn't just scold her, she teaches her, don't matter who they are, anybody sets foot in this house is your company. Through Calpurnia, Scout begins to learn that respect has nothing to do with status and everything to do with humanity. We also begin to understand the quiet strength of Atticus Finch, Scout, and Jem's father. He's a lawyer, a reader, a man who speaks softly and carries a spine of steel. When the children are given air rifles for Christmas, Atticus tells them, shoot all the blue jays you want if you can hit them, but remember it's a sin to kill a mockingbird. That line, it's a sin to kill a mockingbird, is more than advice. It's a warning, a theme, a prophecy. Mockingbirds, after all, are innocent. They do nothing but sing, and hurting the innocent, that's the real crime. By the end of these first chapters, you're not just reading a story. You're living inside a child's world, full of adventure, questions, confusion, and wonder. Summer deepens. The children are out of school, and the legend of Boo Radley grows larger in their minds. But something strange starts happening. Scout finds a stick of gum in the knot of a tree on the edge of the Radley lot. Then 2 shiny Indian head pennies. Then carved soap dolls. 1 boy, 1 girl. A spelling medal. A pocket watch. Gifts. Quiet, mysterious gifts. Left just for them. Scout and Jem don't know it yet, but Boo Radley is reaching out in the only way he can. At first, Jem wants to believe it's a coincidence, but deep down, he knows better. There's someone in that house, not a ghost, not a monster, but a human being who watches them play and perhaps even cares for them. It's a small shift, but a crucial one. Boo Radley stops being a story and starts becoming a person. Dill returns for summer, and the trio continues their obsession. They try to deliver a note to Boo with a fishing pole. Then they sneak into the Radley yard at night. When a shotgun goes off, they run. Jem loses his pants on the fence and lies to Atticus about it. But when he goes back for them later that night, they're waiting for him, folded, mended. Someone knew. Someone cared. That moment rattles Jem. His voice becomes quieter, his eyes more distant. It's the beginning of something profound, the loss of innocence. Later, the children are crushed to discover that the tree knot, their secret mailbox, is filled with cement. Nathan Radley, Boo's brother, claims the tree is dying, but Jem knows it isn't. He even cries. That moment, Jem standing still, silent tears running down his cheeks, is one of the first real heartbreaks in the book. It's when the cruelty of adult interference interrupts a silent friendship. This section of the novel gently transforms the tone. At first, Boo Radley was a joke. Now he's a person, a lonely, generous person, reaching out in the only way he knows how. And the children? They're learning that kindness doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it hides in trees, in gifts, in mended pants, in silence. Scout doesn't fully understand this yet, but Jem is beginning to. The shadows are lengthening over Maycomb, and while the children still play and laugh, something heavier is on the horizon. The mystery of Boo Radley begins to mirror the mystery of the town itself. What else do people hide behind closed doors? Soon they'll learn. Part 3, Chapters 8-11, Racism's Ripple. Winter comes rare and sudden. Maycomb is blanketed in snow. So rare, in fact, that Scout thinks the world is ending. And then, in the middle of that silent, frozen night, Miss Maudie's house catches fire. Everyone rushes to help. The children stand shivering, wrapped in blankets. But it isn't until later that Scout realizes someone had wrapped her in a blanket without her noticing. Boo Radley. It's the first time Boo steps into their world, not through stories or gifts, but through quiet, protective action. Still unseen, still silent, but undeniably real. Scout is stunned. For so long, Boo was a figure of fear. Now he's the one who watched over her. But just as warmth begins to grow, a cold wind of reality enters, and it's far more chilling than snow. Atticus takes on a case in defending Tom Robinson, a black man accused of assaulting a white woman, Mayella Ewell. And suddenly, the quiet structure of Maycomb begins to shake. Not everyone is happy with Atticus. Whispers follow him at the grocery store. Even Mrs. DeBose, the elderly neighbor with venom in her voice, spews cruel words at Scout and Jem. Your father's no better than the people he chooses to defend. Jem, unable to take it, destroys her camellia bushes in a rage. But instead of punishment, Atticus makes him read to her every day. At first, it seems like discipline, but only after Mrs. DuBose dies does Jem learn the truth. She was a morphine addict, determined to die free of her addiction. Her angry outbursts were withdrawals. Her pain was real, and yet she fought it to the end. Atticus tells Jem, I wanted you to see what real courage is. It's when you know you're licked before you begin, but you begin anyway and see it through no matter what. That's when we, as readers, and Scout and Jem, begin to understand. Not all battles are won, but some must still be fought. The trial hasn't even begun, but already the lines are being drawn. The children are no longer playing games. They're witnessing the quiet tremors of justice and injustice, rippling beneath the surface of their sleepy town, and there's no going back. The courthouse is packed, every seat taken. The whole town is watching. Black folks sit up in the segregated balcony, white folks below, and somewhere between them, Scout and Jem sit quietly, watching their father stand alone. Atticus Finch, calm, controlled, relentless. He's defending Tom Robinson, a kind, respectful black man with a crippled left arm, accused of attacking Mayella Ewell, a poor white girl with a chaotic family life and an abusive father. Atticus knows the truth, and deep down, so does the town. In court, he gently dissects every part of the accusation. He shows how Tom's left arm is crippled, completely useless, but Mayella was injured on her right side. Whoever hurt her must have used a strong left hand. And who has a strong left-handed punch? Bob Ewell, Mayella's father. Angry, bigoted, drunk. Atticus's voice is calm. His logic is airtight. And yet, there's a moment. In a stunning, heartbreaking testimony, Tom says something devastatingly honest. I felt right sorry for her. That line, so innocent, so human, is all the jury needs to hear to turn on him. A black man expressing pity for a white woman? That crosses every unspoken line in Maycomb's code of race and class. Despite all the evidence, despite Atticus's defense, despite the truth, the jury convicts Tom Robinson guilty, even though they all know he's not. When the children hear the verdict, Jem cries, not the tears of a child who lost a game, but of a young man who just discovered how broken the world can be. And yet, as Atticus gathers his things and begins to leave the courtroom, the black citizens in the balcony rise to their feet. Reverend Sykes, sitting beside Scout, leans over and says, Miss Jean Louise, stand up. Your father's passing. It's one of the most powerful scenes in American literature. Atticus didn't win the case, but he stood for what was right, and people saw it. They saw his strength, his integrity, his unwavering belief that justice must be fought for, even when justice won't be served. Scout and Jem are forever changed. They came in thinking the truth would win. They leave knowing that sometimes justice doesn't live in verdicts, but in the people who keep fighting for it anyway. Though Robinson is found guilty and later dies trying to escape, Scout and Jem learn the world is worse than they imagined, but may also be better than it seems. Their perception of Boo Radley transforms when he saves them from Bob Ewell. Standing on Boo's porch, Scout finally sees him, not as a ghost or a nightmare, but as a real person, and she understands. Atticus was right. One time he said you never really know a man until you stand in his shoes. I thought I'd try putting myself in his skin. Innocence and compassion. Tom Robinson and Boo are both mockingbirds, innocent beings destroyed by prejudice or misunderstanding. Moral courage, Atticus shows that true bravery often means staying silent in a crowd and speaking up in a courtroom. Empathy and perspective. Scout's journey teaches readers that seeing through another's eyes can fundamentally change how we understand them and ourselves. Racial injustice. Tom's trial powerfully illustrates how deeply racism warps systems meant to deliver fairness. Moral education versus formal schooling. Scout's clash with rigid teachers underlines Lee's point. Lessons about humanity and respect often come from unexpected teachers like Atticus or from living courageously. Mockingbirds symbolize innocence harmed by society. The Radley oak tree represents connection with the misunderstood. Atticus's shooting of the mad dog becomes a metaphor for confronting unchecked prejudice. Wikipedia, Harper Lee's novel won the Pulitzer Prize and remains a classic. Still read in schools, still debated, still calling us to action. Wikipedia time while go set a watchman complicated Atticus's character later. The moral heart of this novel, Scout's journey into empathy and justice, remains powerful. The New Yorker. An article on the enduring impact of the film adaptation reminds us, To Kill a Mockingbird is timeless. It calls for compassion and moral integrity, qualities we sorely need today. The Guardian. In a world still fractured by injustice, Scout's story urges us to walk gently, stand brave, and never let innocence be crushed. Scout once said, "Until I feared I would lose it, I never loved to read." One does not love breathing. Maybe that's true of love, justice, peace. So I'll leave you with this question. What are you afraid to lose? And how does that fear awaken your love for what matters? If these words moved you, tap like, share your own mockingbird in the comments, and subscribe for more stories that shape the human heart. Thanks for journeying through Maycomb with me, where innocence met justice and a child's voice changed us all.